So we are live, Julia. Hi, everybody.
Good
Hopefully
morning.
everything is going well out
Yes.
there. Little discombobulated this morning. Don't have my phone up here with me, so y'all put those comments in there, and I will be tracking them as you join. So in just a second, we're going to be sharing the tea on how to mobilize your community using social media.
Mm-hmm.
And so, if you haven't met me before, my name is Sabrina Walker Hernandez. I've been in the nonprofit industry for over 25 years. I've done direct services, I did operations, I did executive leadership. So, you know, I love this industry. But who we have with us today is Julia Campbell, and she's the founder and the principal of J. Campbell Social Marketing. And she is the host of the Nonprofit Nation podcast and an author of 2 books.
Mm-hmm.
She is balling, y'all, on on social media and storytelling. So, thank you for joining us. If you can put your name, I will call you out in the comments. That would be good. And if you could click a heart or a like or something like that to let us know that you can hear me loud and clear. And if you're watching in the rebroadcast, if you could put hashtag replay, that's going to help us with the algorithms and keep it at the top. So thank y'all again for starting to roll in and joining us. So, Julia, tell us a
Yes.
little bit about yourself. More than you told us yesterday. I'm so excited about your background.
Yeah. I don't know where to start, but I have been running my own business for 11 years now. Actually, it'll be 12 years in March. So, wow, that just sounds crazy to think of it that way. But when I started my career, I was a development director, marketing director, events coordinator, volunteer coordinator, kind of all the things, the person, cleaning the coffee pot, but also going to meet with the $100,000 donor for lunch. So I've been in the shoes of, probably a lot of the people watching, where I've worked in really small organizations and I've worked in larger organizations too. But right now in my business, I do a lot of speaking and training, and I work one-on-one with clients on their digital marketing and digital fundraising campaigns. So that could be anything from a social media campaign to Giving Tuesday to a Giving Day to, an awareness day, using email, website, and social media. And my goal is to really help demystify digital and help people avoid overwhelm and stop spinning their wheels and really get some results using these powerful tools.
Good. So, I'm just gonna come out with the question. So why is social media important for nonprofits?
Well, I think that's an interesting question, because when we talk about social media, especially as we are in 2022 right now, social media really has sort of I don't want to say infused our entire life and our entire existence. You really can't avoid it. So whether you love it or hate it, it does represent a complete revolution, pretty much on par with the Industrial Revolution in terms of the way we communicate with each other, for good or for evil, the way that we look up information, the way that we find news, the way that we express ourselves and express our values, the way that we share things that we're interested in. So it really, whether or not we personally like it or use it or hate it or don't understand it, these tools taken all together, they really do represent a complete change almost in human nature and the things that we're doing and the way that we like to connect with each other. So, not even just the numbers, because we do know that, something like 75% of US adults have at least one social media account. Mm-hmm. And that's not just younger people. Now, the channels they're using might be different from the channels that, say, like me and my mom are using. But baby boomers, matures, older people are using social media, leveraging social media. Sometimes I think they might be the only people maybe left on Facebook, but that's great for you if that's your donor base. But the thing is, we need to understand that if we want to stay relevant and if we really want to continually reach new people and build relationships with the people that we do know that know us and love us, we will need to understand, evaluate, and establish a presence on some of these channels. Now, which channel, that's up to you.
Yeah, and that's like flows right into the next question.
Yeah.
So, what is the right platform to build your community on? You got Facebook,
Yep.
Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, TikTok, which I just got hooked to 3 o'clock in the morning. You got all of those things. Where do you focus?
Well, I have a framework that I teach for you to be able to decide which platform, because what happens is I get this question all the time. Like, an organization will email me or call me or even just see me on the street and say, where should my nonprofit set up shop? And to me, I mean, that's literally like me asking you, where should I buy a house? And you would say, well, I don't know. Like, there's a lot of questions. What's your budget? Do you like living where it's winter for 6 months out of the year, like where I live in Boston? Do you have children? Do you want to live near a school? So there's all sorts of questions you have to ask before deciding on which platform you're going to use. Now, the good news is that I do not want you to be on all the platforms unless you have a full-time person. There's absolutely no way for you to be able to manage all of the platforms, even 3 or 4 really well, without a person that's kind of dedicated to creating content and managing community. So the questions that you need to ask: what is your primary goal? What is your primary goal? Now, for instance, I work with Boston Public Schools a lot on a lot of their marketing campaigns. Now, they don't do fundraising, but they want to reach high school kids and they want to encourage them to fill out the FAFSA, which is the federal student aid form that you need to fill out in order to get financial aid for college. So they wanted to do a marketing campaign around the FAFSA, but they wanted to do it on Facebook. And I said, well, if your primary goal is to reach high school students, then we need to look at other platforms. But if your primary goal is to reach teachers and principals and parents and administrators, then that's a whole nother conversation. But if your primary goal is to reach teens, we have to talk about Instagram, we have to talk about Snapchat, we have to talk about TikTok, because that's where they are. So you have to think about your primary goal, and then you have to think about your target audience, and you just need to go where they are. Like, you cannot be on Facebook and then come to me and say, how can I get more Gen Z people to follow our Facebook page? They're not there. They are not on Facebook, and that's not going to happen. So we have to make sure there's not a mismatch with our goal and our audience and the platform that we're choosing. The other really important point that I want to make, and if you remember one thing today, it's that all of these platforms are different. Okay, they're different countries with different language, different etiquette, different ways, different content that works on them. So it's not enough to have a digital strategy. You have to have a digital strategy, but you also have to have a social media strategy. But not even that, you have to have a platform specific strategy. And that's really where I help my clients. Because if you're on Facebook, the content, the interaction, the hashtags, the mannerisms, everything on Facebook is very different from, say, TikTok, if you do want to explore TikTok, or even go into Clubhouse or go into Twitter or Twitter Spaces, Instagram Stories. So that's why I encourage you to really evaluate and audit the platforms that you're on and see if there's a mismatch between your goals and your audience, and focus only on those channels where you really can excel and really connect with the appropriate audience to reach that goal, to help you accomplish your goals.
So I'm gonna play devil's advocate here.
Sure.
And my goal is to just reach all donors. It doesn't matter to me what their age. How can I reach all donors? What do you say to people who say that?
If you appeal to everyone, you appeal to no one. That was Seth Godin, my favorite marketing author and marketing thought leader. And he's absolutely right. So first of all, I don't care what you do. If you are a little tiny historical society, if you're a museum, if you're a library, if you are saving animals, if you are working to prevent child abuse, someone out there disagrees with what you do. There's just, no matter what it is, someone doesn't want you to get funding, someone disagrees with your mission, someone out there. So there's absolutely no way to appeal to everyone. And if you try to appeal to everyone, you're going to water down your message, and you're not going to attract the people that are going to become your long-term supporters, because they're not going to see that you are for them. So you really need to sort of draw a line in the sand and say, this is what we stand for. These are the people we serve. This is what we believe in. And you know what? We're throwing a great party over here. And if you want to come, you can come. And if you don't want to come, then that's fine too. And maybe you'll come later. But just, you have to think of it that way. And that's really going to help you attract the right people, because you can't attract people without repelling other people. It's just not possible. And I know we get so worried about offending people, and I'm not talking about purposely going out and being offensive or, you know, turning people off, or saying things that are going to make people angry. But we do need to be very clear about who we want to attract and go to where they are and sort of talk to them.
Okay.
And you can't reach all the donors.
That makes sense.
You can reach your donors, but you can't reach all the donors in the world. It's
okay. Possible. I got one more. I'm going to throw one more at you, because I do this myself, and I think people can learn from me. So when I schedule my Facebook, I schedule my Instagram, and it's the same message because I'm scheduling.
Yeah.
Is that wrong?
I do this as well. So with my podcast, I actually have my little checklist in my project management tool. I use Asana, and it's all of the different social media platforms and everywhere that I post it. So I do that too, but I change the message up a little bit. Okay. So for Instagram, I probably use hashtags, which I would not use on Facebook. Obviously on Twitter, you don't have the same amount of characters, so you have to change it up for Twitter. For an Instagram story, it needs to be like a vertical photo. So there are ways to repurpose content, and I certainly think you should be repurposing content, but make sure that it fits to the platform. For instance, on Instagram, it has to be a square. I mean, it doesn't have to be, but that's what works best. If it's in the feed, emojis, like a different kind of language, almost works better on Instagram than on Facebook. So I think that repurposing for sure works, and scheduling can work. But what I see nonprofits do is they will take their Instagram post and then just cut and paste it. And people, you can't tag people on Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn all at once. You really do have to go into each individual platform, especially if you're tagging businesses, if you're tagging partners. For me, if I'm tagging a guest, I do have to go in and actually, kind of edit the post. But you can get it to a point where it's almost like a well-oiled machine, but it does require a little bit of editing to make it work for each platform.
Okay. I got one more that's not here.
Sure.
The other one is, what about using like the scheduler, or like Buffer, or does that take away from the algorithms or anything like that?
Facebook hates those tools. Okay. So now Facebook, you can go in Business Manager and you can actually schedule Facebook and Instagram posts. So I recommend just going inside Facebook for anything Facebook related. I use Buffer for Twitter. Okay. And honestly, I haven't done like a test, an A/B test of like what works best, but no, on Twitter, I use Buffer. On LinkedIn, I've used Buffer. It always works best though if you do go into the platform, because they, you have to think about it from their perspective. They want you as a big business. They want you to be on the platform. They don't want you to just be in HubSpot or Buffer or Hootsuite and be scheduling out a bunch of posts and never actually go into the platform. So I would experiment with the third-party tools. I wouldn't rely on them 100%. The other thing I wanted to say is anytime you're posting a link that goes outside the site, it's not going to get nearly as much reach as if you either put that link in the caption, or you put the link in a comment, or even if you just do an organic post with a photo that doesn't have any link in it. That's always going to do best, because we really have to start thinking about these channels the way they were designed. I mean, they're businesses. They want us to stay on the platform, and they don't want us to click off. And I know you've probably noticed this, Sabrina. Even on my personal Facebook, I try to post links. Like I just wanted to post a link today to the COVID tests, like, the
one you
everywhere in
can order for your home?
Massachusetts. Yeah, in Massachusetts, you can get a COVID test sent to your house. So I wanted to post that link, but then I thought, oh, I know if I post a link, no one's going to see it, because Facebook is really, really cracking down on that, unfortunately. So just be cognizant and careful of how many outside links you post.
And so what I heard you say is put the link in the comment.
You can put on LinkedIn. What I've seen is people saying link in comments, and then they put it in the first comment.
Okay.
And then on Facebook, what I tend to do is I just put it in the caption, and then I get rid of that like preview pane and add my own photo.
Got it. Okay, that's a good tip. So how can nonprofits use social media to get people to know, like, and trust them? What should they post, just like you alluded to?
Yes. That is the perfect way to think about social media, is almost like an introduction and building that know, like, and trust factor. Because I think we tend to think of it as this, red line straight from Facebook to our bank accounts. And that's not usually the way that it works. But the key here is to post what your audience is interested in. So we need to stop thinking about our agendas and think about our audience's agenda. What are they interested in? What motivates them? What are the questions you get asked all the time? What are some things that you do really well? What is your unique perspective that you bring to this cause and this issue area? What is your solution? And sharing evidence of your impact, sharing stories of behind the scenes of the people that do the work every day, the people you're helping, your community partners. I can send you, Sabrina, I have a whole blog post, how to tailor make content for each of the platforms based on things that your audience wants to hear from you. And if you don't know, then it's a great time to get on the phone, talk to them, send out a survey, and they'll tell you. And that's the great thing about digital, is that you can see in real time what people are responding to. You can see what emails they're opening. You can see what they're clicking on. You can see which pages on your website get the most traction and traffic. You can see which videos get the most views. So you can actually see what your audience wants to hear from you, and what kind of topics are going to resonate with them the most. But we have to get out of our own minds here. Like, we have to get out of our own agenda and post things that are interesting to our audience.
Okay. And so look at the trends. That makes sense. So how can a nonprofit grow its engagement organically? You just said one, like, look at the trends and see what people want, but how else can they grow that engagement organically?
Organically is tough on social media right now.
Okay.
Because it's really pay to play. So that doesn't mean every post you need to be putting money behind. But in terms of organic growth, it is going to take a little bit more time. It's almost like if you go to the gym and you keep going to the gym, but then once in a while you pay for a personal trainer, you're going to get better results, and you're going to be more focused, and you're going to, get to your goals faster. So I recommend a tiny, tiny little ad budget. But in terms of organic, what I recommend is posting a lot of video, a lot of photos. Those tend to work best as the best kind of content. And then exploring these new sites. I mean, TikTok's not new, but TikTok, you can grow an audience.
Julia, it's new to me.
Oh, it's new to me too. Trust me. But I mean, I just lurk on there.
Yeah.
I think I've posted like 3 videos, but I just kind of lurk and like look. And then like my daughter's on there, so I got to see what she's doing. So I just follow other people and look what they're doing. But it's so easy to grow an audience on there because TikTok is very different than the other sites. It's very give and take. It's very engaged. People on there love to comment and share and like and heart things, use each other's hashtags, build each other up. I mean, it's just such an interesting place. So I think if your goal is awareness, if your goal is reaching a brand new audience, if your goal is exposure and visibility, using these kinds of platforms, the TikTok, the Instagram, those are, tend to be the fastest growing, and it's easier to build a following on those. Facebook pages, LinkedIn pages, it's harder. It's like an uphill battle right now.
That makes sense. So if your goal, it goes back to what you said from the beginning. What's your goal?
Yeah.
Your goal will determine a lot.
The other thing I want to say is that I see nonprofits do a lot is, sending out an email that says, like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter, like us on LinkedIn. Okay. Why would I do that? Like, what's in it for me to follow you? And I'm not going to follow you on all of these platforms. Okay. We have to stop thinking that people are going to follow us on all the platforms. They're going to pick the one that they like the most, and hopefully they'll follow us on that platform. So that's where I think people get stuck. They're like, well, I have 10,000 people in my database, but I only have 2,000 Facebook fans. Well, yes, because maybe they follow you somewhere else, or maybe they just want to get your emails, or maybe they don't use Facebook for that kind of purpose. So not everyone that likes you is going to follow you on every single one of the channels, but you do have to give people a reason. You can't just say, follow me. You have to say, we're going to share exclusive stories and videos and events. And, on Instagram, we're going to share some of our most beautiful photography from this and that, or we're going to share exclusive tips on something. There just has to be a reason for people to follow you.
Oh, that's a good one. That's really good. So guys, we have several people here, and if you're just joining us, this is Sipping Tea with Sabrina, and we got Julia Campbell here. Yes. Welcome to the broadcast, and we're currently talking about how to build and mobilize a social media community, and we've just covered some fabulous topics like why is social media important, which platform to be on, and you can't be on them all, but you pick where. It's not about you. And I know that's hard for nonprofits to hear. It is not about you. It is about what is your goal. If I've learned anything, it's like, what's your goal? Determine your goal. Just don't randomly go out there. And so let us know that you're watching, where you're watching from. Click a heart or a like button. That's the way to help the algorithms stay at the very top. Speaking of social media.
Yes. Share it.
Yeah. With those algorithms, you got to make all those tricks. So, and as we go along here, you will get a chance to ask some questions. So, I have a couple of more questions. Sure. Guys, I bring these guests on so I can learn too. Let me just tell you, and I bring on the best, and Julia is the best at what she does. Oh. So let me ask you this, Julia, what was the worst mistake that nonprofits, or what are some of the worst mistakes that nonprofits make when using social media?
Oh, there are a lot, but let's see. So the worst mistake you can make is not being consistent and posting like 50 times up to Giving Tuesday and then ghosting your account for 6 months. And I see that a lot. So what happens is organizations will, in a flurry, maybe they'll get an intern, maybe there'll be an event or a fundraiser or something they have to quickly get out some promotions for, and they'll post every day for 2 weeks and then not post again for 6 weeks. So the way we have to think about it is like exercise, like a lot of exercise metaphors here, but I did go to the gym this morning, so that's good. But if you go to the gym every day for 2 weeks, that's great. But then you don't go again for 3 months, you're going to have to start all over from scratch pretty much. So we have to really start thinking about it as like consistency is key, whether that's 2 times a week, 3 times a week, whatever it is, being consistent, being there. And the algorithms see that. They see, oh, this person hasn't posted in 6 months. And we don't really have enough data to know if it's relevant. So we're not going to show it to the maximum amount of people that it could be shown to. And then what also happens is your audience might get frustrated. They'll see it and they'll say, oh, I forgot I followed you. And oh, I haven't heard from you. And it's sort of like email. You can't just email twice or 3 times a year. People, what if it gets stuck in their spam folder? What if they don't read it? So the key here is really consistency, whatever that looks like for you, whatever cadence you can keep up with that is realistic and will just sort of keep you in the feed.
Okay, so you said something that spurred another question for me. So, I try to read a little bit about social media.
Yeah.
And, I've heard post at least twice a day on LinkedIn or 3 times a week on Facebook. Is any of that true?
Well, I know what works for me, but I don't like those posts. Like, I don't like those. This is the best of, or this is a best practice, or, studies show that you should post twice a day on Facebook. For me, I try to do once a day on my Facebook page, and that seems to work. I try to do twice a week on Instagram. I find fewer posts on Instagram tend to do better. If I post a lot on Instagram, what I find is that each individual photo will get fewer likes, I think, because it's being shown to fewer people. And on LinkedIn, I don't know. I try to post 3 to 4 times a week. So for me, that's what works. And that's what I like. You have to test it out for your audience. If you're an organization doing advocacy or things that are in the news all of the time, certainly you can post more than that. But I'm willing to bet for most of us, it's hard to even get 3 high quality posts up per week. So the key here is really quality, not quantity. So I take those kind of studies with a grain of salt, also because the algorithms are constantly changing. And tomorrow there could be some different trend. But that's really what I have found works for me. I post a lot more on Twitter only because that's just the nature of Twitter. And I'm a little more active there. But like I said before, all the platforms are different. So, you can't use the same strategy on LinkedIn that you would use on Twitter.
That's true. That's true. So what is one of the best kept secrets for social media that you're willing to share with us?
One of the best kept secrets. Okay. One of the best kept secrets. I don't know if it's necessarily a secret, but it's certainly something that I've been seeing, is that hashtags, they don't really help on every platform, and you have to use the correct hashtags. So many people get this wrong. They think we can just make up our own hashtags, like hashtag Julia Campbell, hashtag,
supporting
JC social marketing, whatever. No one is searching on that. No one is looking for hashtag Julia Campbell, as much as I wish that they were. But they might be looking for hashtag social media marketing, hashtag, nonprofit podcast. So really think about what people are searching for and use hashtags like search terms rather than like a label. I think we use them as a label, like an old school blog tag or category or label. But really what they should be used for, they should be used like search terms so that people can find you when they're searching on it. So that's also something that I don't know if that's necessarily a best kept secret, but it's something people get wrong all the time.
It's good, because I started that when I started Instagram. I was put hashtag supporting World Hope, and I was like, but nobody knows support.
Yeah, that's that. So many organizations do that, and it's just natural because you kind of want to make it a hashtag that people would use. But too often we think social media people are paying more attention to us than they probably are. So using things that are already out there is so much easier than trying to grow an audience around a brand new hashtag.
And so one of the little tricks that I do, and maybe you can tell me if it's right or wrong.
Yeah.
When I put in a hashtag, I look and see how what the count is?
Yes.
Okay.
That's great. And you know that you can follow hashtags. So you can follow them on Instagram and you can follow them on LinkedIn. So you don't have to follow every account that uses it. This is actually really great for conferences. I mean, remember conferences?
Mm-hmm.
Whenever I'd go to a conference, I would immediately start following the hashtag because then I would see new people to connect with that I wasn't connected with. I would see posts from, just interesting accounts that I didn't know about. So for me, I definitely use it as a way to discover new accounts to follow. And then they can discover me because I use the hashtag. So for events, for, for around your cause and issue area, you want to make sure you're following whatever the biggest, most popular hashtags are in that area.
Okay. I got one more hashtag question.
Yeah.
So LinkedIn, I've heard that you can do hashtags on LinkedIn, but do no more than 2 to 3.
Yeah. I don't like hashtags on LinkedIn. It wouldn't, but I don't like them personally, but I'm sure that LinkedIn is trying to make them happen and we have to play the game that they want to play.
Mm-hmm.
So I would not use more than 2 or 3. It's not like Instagram where you could use 30.
Mm-hmm.
That's the max. And no one would blink an eye because that's just, people always do that.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think they could hurt. I don't think they hurt you, but I definitely wouldn't use more than 2 or 3.
Okay.
And clutter up your post.
Okay. That makes sense. So here's the $1 million question.
Yeah.
Facebook fundraising. Is it worth it? I'm going to tell you I have a bias, but I want to hear what you have to say.
So Facebook fundraising is really the closest thing that the internet has to an ATM for nonprofits, honestly. Like I want everyone to follow my friends at Give Panel. They have an amazing blog. They are a company out of the UK and they are software where you can actually get more of your donor data than you would normally get from Facebook and Instagram. So they're a Facebook and Instagram fundraising company, and their blog is absolutely amazing. And the way their philosophy is really kind of like my philosophy. The majority of people that are fundraising on Facebook have never heard of the nonprofit they're fundraising for, or they've heard of it, but they are not a donor. Like it's not these people in your database that are fundraising for you. It's kind of brand new people that say, oh, I saw my friend do a Facebook fundraiser. I want to do a Facebook fundraiser. Let me look up some nonprofits to support. I mean, we think so much that donors know what they're doing and they have this plan, who they're going to give to and what they're going to. No, the majority of people actually, and especially small dollar donors, social media donors, give to causes they see online. They give to causes that their friends support, or they give to causes just because they're like, I read about this in the news, or I saw that food insecurity is really huge now, or I care about this, made me angry and I want to, do something about it. So a lot of it is really impulsive and impulse giving. And if you are not signed up for the charitable giving tools, you're really going to miss out on a lot of that. So the way I see it is, if I mailed you $100, but I didn't put my name and address on it, you would still cash that. You would still have that $100 towards your mission. And it's completely discretionary. You can use it for whatever you want. It's no strings attached, no fees. So the way I look at it is you're not going to put all your eggs in the Facebook fundraising basket. It's not going to grow your major donor file. It's not going to grow your donor list necessarily. I mean, there are ways you can connect with people on Facebook, but it's a great way for you to get brand new people into the fold and to get this discretionary income, this no strings attached income that we all want. So you have to weigh it for your organization, but I think it's just a tool in your tool belt. And it's just something that, it's sort of like you have a race, you have an event, you have a lemonade fundraiser, whatever it is. That's how I see it. a lot of organizations raise millions on Facebook, but for the majority of us, we might raise a few thousand here or there.
Okay. But I think what you said, I guess what my soapbox issue is, I've seen a lot of nonprofits who try to rely solely on Facebook fundraising.
Mm-mm.
And what I hear you saying is you can't do that.
No, because you do want, if you build a sustainable organization, you do need a combination of a donor file where you have donors that you can build relationships with, and you can convert them to monthly donors and then convert them to major donors, the whole journey,
the whole ladder.
Yeah, convert them to planned giving donors. So you definitely need that. You need that contact information. But Facebook just kind of opens the door to a whole new kind of donor. I just don't think you should close the door, but you definitely can't put all your eggs in that basket. Okay. Because also, first of all, you don't want to put all your eggs in the social media basket at all, because they could turn off tomorrow. Like, you remember that day that Facebook and Instagram
was down. Oh my God.
And WhatsApp was down. Now, WhatsApp, there are organizations, international organizations, that rely on WhatsApp to deliver services. And a lot of organizations rely on Facebook and Instagram to reach their supporters. And what that taught us was we cannot build our house on rented land. Build your email list, build your donor file, use these tools the way they're meant to be used. They're kind of the icing on the cake, but for sure, do not build your house on rented land. You want to have a website, email list, donor file. You want to try to encourage people to give you their contact information, to build a relationship with them. And that's where you should be also trying to bring people over from social media to the house that you're building. But use these rental properties as long as you can. But as we know, the rug could be pulled out from under us at any moment. So we can't rely on these tools as the sole means of communication and fundraising.
That makes sense. That day when everything went down, I was like, I just can't believe this. This is hard,
and I, of course, had that day to schedule a bunch of things and do things for my clients, and I had to do a bunch of research. And I was like, oh my God, how I rely on this stuff too much.
Yep. I think a lot of people came to that realization. So what are some of the tips you can provide for nonprofit social media success?
I would, first of all, if you're looking to really ramp up and level up your game in 2022, do a quick audit. So look at all of your inventory, every Facebook page, LinkedIn page, group, Twitter, anywhere you have a presence, and really evaluate if it's getting you the results that you want. And of course, if you've only been on it for 5 minutes, you probably need to be on it for a few weeks, a few months to determine that. So if you just signed up and you're not getting results, it's going to take a little time. But really look at your primary goals for the year and pick maybe one or two. And then look at your audience and say, where can I best reach this audience to help achieve this goal? And break up with social media platforms that are not working. I've talked so many organizations out of Instagram or out of Twitter or out of, Pinterest or out of, whatever it is that they were doing that just wasn't working, because then they could focus more of their efforts and their capacity and their bandwidth on the platforms that were working. Okay. And the other thing I want you to do, I want you to not get overwhelmed, and I want you to unsubscribe from not my newsletter, not Sabrina's newsletter,
right?
But unsubscribe from all of the Social Media Examiner and all of the constant updates, because I think that gets overwhelming. So focus on strategy. Don't focus on shiny tools. And what Sabrina and I teach is really focused on strategy, community building, and long-term sustainability. It's not just here's 10 ways to, here's 10 ways to build your Instagram following. That's important, but that's not the end game. Focusing on strategy, focusing on how these tools can really enhance what you're already doing and how can they help augment some of your other fundraising and marketing strategies. So don't chase the shiny new tools, focus on strategy, goals, audience, and you should do great.
Yeah, you should do great. We do have some questions here.
Oh,
We got
good.
some questions from Leslie, Andrea, Maria. Hi, and we got some questions
Hey.
from Nancy. So we're going to take 3 of these questions.
Ooh, lots of comments.
Yes.
Okay.
So Leslie asked, what do you recommend for planning on social media posts? We have a great small advertising agency in 2021 manage our social media campaign via a grant. They use monday.com to list proposed post platforms for me to post. It seems to be a good tool, but she really wants to know what is the recommended planning tool.
Oh, the recommended tool is what you're going to use. I'm not kidding. So if you like Monday's great. I use Asana. I know one of my friends who manages social media for Susan G. Komen. He swears by Airtable. And they have a whole team of people. So it's the tool that you're going to use. It could be a Google Drive. I've used Google Drive with my clients. I've used an Excel spreadsheet. So in terms of a tool, I think Airtable is definitely worth checking out if you have a team. But if Monday is the one you like and they like, and you're going to use it and it makes sense, then as long as everyone knows, like as long as there's like an SOP, like a standard operating procedure of how you're going to use it and what's expected, then I think that's a fine tool. So,
okay. I use Trello.
Yeah, Trello, Asana. I mean, they're really all at
Yeah.
the end of the day the same thing.
Yeah.
I know a lot of organizations use HubSpot because they can manage their email, website, blog, and social media via HubSpot.
Yeah, that's a good one. So where Andrea is asking, where do you go for content ideas?
Ooh, content ideas? The problem with me is I don't have a lack of ideas. I have a lack of time. I've actually built my audience so much that I just rely on their questions a lot of the time. So I have a Facebook group, I get emails, I have students and clients, and I just write down a lot of the questions that I get. For you, I would write down any questions that you get in your email or from your clients, your donors, your partners, but also what are some myths and misconceptions, you feel like you could address? What are some things that you wish people knew about the work that you do, about the population that you serve? What are some unexpected things? And then also I recommend signing up for Google Alerts, which is a free newspaper service. It can get overwhelming. You got to choose your keywords well. But if you pick, your region, or if you're like a library, if you pick reading or things around literacy, then they'll send you news articles, whatever is being talked about, whatever's trending around the world. And then you can kind of get ideas from that. But I would also look at just what do you do every day? Think less about creating content and more like think like a documentarian. If you could create a documentary of your work, of your day, of your organization, what are some of the little moments that you would pick out?
Okay. That's good. I like Google Alerts too, but they can get overwhelming.
It can. If you pick something like breast cancer, you're going to get 1,000 things. If you pick like breast cancer prevention, so like try to be a little more specific in the terms that you are choosing.
Yeah. And Jody's asking a question. She says, how does Facebook ads removing audience targeting options affect nonprofits?
Oh, well, so there are so many updates right now in terms of data privacy. The iOS update that has basically, digital marketers, it's like our nightmare because it's affecting our open rates. It's affecting our ability to target people in social media, all the channels, not just Facebook, like across the board, audience targeting. So it's just going to make ads harder to do and make them more expensive. And that's just the way, like the good old golden days of Facebook ads are gone. I was just talking to my friend who runs a Facebook ad agency, and she said, we really have to be clear with our clients that the expectations, the results they got 2 years ago are not the results they're going to get today. Like, it's not impossible, but it's hard. It's definitely going to be harder and more expensive. But that's because the trend right now is people want their data privacy. I think all of us probably do too. So we just have to look at it from that perspective.
Yeah, there's a couple of more questions, but we're not going to get to them.
Oh no! Okay,
you want to stay a little bit longer.
I'll go back. I'll go in and answer them.
Okay, perfect. I think they would really appreciate that. So I know that I'm going to drop some information on how they can get in contact with you, but can you verbalize that for us?
Yes. So my website, JC, as in Julia Campbell, jcsocialmarketing.com. And if you go to my website, there's a contact page, there's my blog, there's all sorts of free information, free downloads. So check out my website, and then my podcast, nonprofitnationpodcast.com. New episode today with Tammy Charles, who you might know, Sabrina.
Yes.
So new episodes drop every Wednesday, and sometimes 2 episodes a week if I feel like doing a solo episode. Last week I did just like a solo episode on 5 strategies for social media managers. So sometimes 2 a week if you're lucky.
if you're lucky, and it's great information, guys. It's great. So I really suggest that you subscribe to that podcast. So any final words, Julia?
You got this. You can do this. 2022 is going to be awesome. Stay safe, stay healthy, give yourself lots of rest, grace, water, tea. You're doing amazing work, and just thank you. And thanks, Sabrina, for having me.
Yeah, no problem. So guys, if there's a topic you want to hear about, let me know. Next time we're going to be talking about cryptocurrency. I have no idea what it is. I'm just
the people from the Giving Block.
Yes.
Oh, cool. I want to have them on the podcast. So, I don't know what it, I mean, I know what it is, but I have no clue either.
I don't know how to use it. I don't know, but I'm going to learn. I'm going to learn with the rest of them, right? So it's going to be very interesting. So again, Julia has said that she will come in into the group and answer any questions that we missed. There's 14 comments in there. I only pulled 3. So you're going to be busy for a while, but I leave you with this. Your mission matters and deserves to be highlighted in your community. Your mission matters and can be an inspiration to those who need it the most. Your mission matters and deserves to be funded to its fullest capacity. And that's Sipping Tea with Sabrina. And we will see you the next time. Let's say goodbye.
Bye.